Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. I vaguely knew what this movie was about, other than it had a very, very long and mouthful of a title. But I knew it was about someone in a wheelchair who had a drinking problem. And the cast was stacked, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Rooney Mara, Jack Black, and Jonah Hill. I had my reservations. I wasn't sure really what to expect heading into this film, but I have to say, I really, really like this movie and think it is a worthwhile watch. So, let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, that stacked cast came to play. They are really fantastic. In particular, of course, Joaquin Phoenix is really, really good in this movie. It's always so nice to see him play understated roles. We know that he can get those big dramatic moments done very well, but this is a much softer role for Joaquin Phoenix, a stark contrast actually to his role in You Were Never Really Here, also released this year. This is a very soft-spoken, softer role, and he's able to convey so much under the surface, and I just think it was a fantastic performance from him, especially in contrast to that much more violent role he plays in You Were Never Really Here. He's just a great actor, and this was another great performance from him. But just as good is Jonah Hill. He is spectacular, especially when we first meet him. I was a little bit scared that he was going to go into gay stereotype mode, into effeminate male stereotype, but he never does. He always feels like a genuine, real human being, and he gets a particular moment to shine that actually retroactively elevates his entire performance, and it really was something special to watch. But again, we are so used to Jonah Hill giving these really strong performances, but really big performances or comedic performances. And usually his comedic performances are also pretty big. So to see him play something that is much more drawn back was something special. And I think it made the dramatic moments for his character really pop well. And I think he did a great job with that. Rooney Mara is also very good. She's not asked to do as much as she was in something like A Ghost Story last year, but I thought she pulled off her accent very well and gave her character as much as she could in the limited time she was given. Same with Jack Black. He's maybe the weakest of the big names in this movie, but he's also solid here as well. So our cast is very, very good, and they are helped with a fantastic screenplay. I really think this is one of the best screenplays we've seen so far in 2018. It is fantastic, from the dialogue to the structure. Everything is just so beautifully, brilliantly, and sophisticated when it comes to this script. It's really, really good stuff. And here's why it works so well. This is a biopic. This is the story of someone's life, but it plays out in such a brilliant way. A way that I'm not sure everyone will appreciate, but is just handled beautifully. Really, it's handled expertly. This film pretty much plays out like a dark comedy, which seems odd when you're talking about somebody battling alcoholism and somebody who is in a wheelchair and their struggles, but when you get to know this character and the fact that they're known for somewhat abrasive cartoon work and abrasive comedy through that cartoon work, it is absolutely perfect. The tone matches the person that we're exploring so well that I think by the end of it, again, this dark comedic tone that we get through a good portion of the film makes the epiphanies hit so hard and I think that the serious moments of this film are really going to stick with me. There are some profound themes of finding yourself and stripping yourself down to understand yourself, kind of finding your people, finding those that are like you, even as you're still struggling to find your own self. I think the themes that this film explores are very, very complex, but I think they are ones you're going to continue to unpack even after just one single viewing. I think I'm going to be thinking about this movie for a long time to come because it packs so much into its runtime. And going along with that, I think the structure for this film works wonders. I think it really added to the impact as well. This is a non-linear film, but it works in favor of the film. As funny as it is, it's just as inspirational. But just as inspirational as it is harrowing. It is painful to watch, actually. And I think that is the magic of this film. It makes you feel everything. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But this film does have negatives. So let's go ahead and talk about what it doesn't do quite so well. First of all, I know that it is based on a book and based on someone's real life. And of course, the Joaquin Phoenix cartoonist is our main focus here. However, we have a lot of really interesting characters that I would have liked to spend more time with. Rooney Mara's character in particular, I really wanted more from this woman. It could be argued that her character is a manic pixie dream girl of sorts. She is this elusive character, this character that is perfect, actually, that draws him out of death. Twice, I think. 2 times. Her character brings inspiration to take him out of the clutches of death. And honestly, I think that could be said about pretty much all the women across the board in this film. One of the women in the AA meetings calls one of the characters out because he never has women in his stories. And I think that maybe rung true within the movie itself. None of the women in the film have depth. None of them have layers. They are all one stroke, which could or could not go back to the fact that his mother is a major part of his story and his realization and his journey, and the absence of his mother is a big component of his story, but maybe it would have been nice to have more realization on that front. It seemed that we were just going through the motions of telling the story without a deeper meaning there, and the women were just written one note rather than it being an intentional choice. I do also think that maybe the comedy bled into some of the moments that it didn't need to bleed into. I think maybe it leaned a little bit heavy on quirky comedy when we needed a little bit more serious. While I appreciate that we get all of these gambits and we feel all of these emotions and we get all of these different aspects, the tone does come across a bit uneven. We are jumping back and forth from like super serious to weird, quirky comedy, and I think the tonal shifts are a bit jarring. And I also think the direction worked really well for structuring the film and helping lay it out. And he obviously wrote a beautiful script here. But the direction in terms of technical directing was a lot weaker. I think shot composition was not a strong suit of this film. It looked flat to me. We would get really like weird shot angles where parts of like heads were cut off. Again, I think it maybe thought it was being intentional and artsy, but it didn't have the purpose behind it to give it the gravitas. Instead, it just looked sloppy. It looked cheap instead of coming across with more toward art, if you will. And I also think the music was not great. The music added this weird hokiness, which I think played in tandem with the quirky humor bleeding into spaces it didn't need to bleed into. I think that came down to the directing and also the music. So I'm sorry, Danny Elfman. I know you've gotten a lot of flack recently, but I really don't think the music did the film favors overall. So overall, I do think this is an uneven film that is a little bit messy. It's messy in its construction, and the overall package is a messy one. It is not put together perfectly by any means. But the underlying messages resonate so strongly, and the underlying themes of this movie and the emotions that you feel within this film are so strong that I think they shine through the less than perfect packaging and technical elements of the film. The heart and the core of this film are beautiful. And that's why I would give this film personally a matinee. I think it needs to be seen. I really encourage you to seek it out and see it. I think that the performances, the writing, and that core, the feelings, the messages, the symbolism is all gorgeous in this film. And I think that will stick with you long after the technical faults that the film may come across. So, that is my review of Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Don't Worry? And what is your favorite Joaquin Phoenix film? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!